the years I've had some interesting things happen to me. Some having to do with UFOs. That's probably the most common, thing that happens to people. They see something in the sky, you don't know what the hell it is. But I've had some really amazing stories, things that have happened to me that some of them I actually have witnesses that were with me when they happened, so that makes it even more interesting. But first I want to share this story with you. It didn't happen to me, but it hit me hard because, like I said, when I see something with my own eyes, I can believe it. And when somebody else tells you a story, it's like, who knows if it's true, You want to believe it, but, there's always that doubt. But years ago, I'm going back like, let's see, I'm with my girlfriend now, 17 years, so this had to be like 18 years ago. I was hanging out with my friend Jose, who was sitting in his car, matter of fact. And we're telling crazy stories back and forth, weird stuff. And he told me this story. So he said he was on a bus going home from work. It was rush hour, so figure around 5:30 at night. And all of a sudden, he was like a mile from his house, heading there. All of a sudden, he got like a weird feeling came over him, almost like he was coming out of a dream, or like a really severe, he said, like a deja vu feeling. And all of a sudden, he was looking out the window, and he realized that the bus was actually in the same area, but now going in the wrong direction. And he said other people on the bus too were like, they were looking at each other like, what the hell's what's happening, Then they're all ringing for the bell, the bus to stop, and then they all got off, and he said even the driver was like they were just looking at each other. But he said they were all like in a weird like haze where they didn't even want to talk about it. Like it was just like a weird situation. Then he got off the bus, went across the street, and got on the next one going that direction. The bus just took off. So when he told me the story, I was like, all right, that's an interesting story. But it really didn't do nothing for me. Like it didn't really like wow me, you know what I mean? But now check this out. This had to be 13, 14 years later. I'm working in a nursing home in the Bronx. And there was like, each floor had smoking rooms, So I would go in there on my breaks, smoke cigarettes and talk to the people, You don't become friends with them, but you become like good acquaintances, And there was one guy, his name was Ernie. He was an elderly African-American gentleman in a wheelchair, real sweetheart, nice guy. I used to talk to him all the time. I don't even know what got us on the subject of paranormal. But then he looked at me with this funny face. He goes, I'm going to tell you a story. Something that happened to me, but don't think I'm crazy. So I was like, go ahead, you can tell me anything. What do I care? He tells me a story. He's driving with his brother, or brother-in-law. Let's just say brother. And they're driving. He says all of a sudden, they were in New Jersey, sitting by a tree, out of the car, and he didn't know what the hell happened. And it was like no time had passed. It was like the same, like when they looked at their clocks, they realized it was the same time. So again, when he's telling me the story, I'm like, okay, somebody telling me a story, you listen. Like I said, it didn't hit me, So then I asked a question. I said, well, where were you driving when this happened? If I'm lying, I'm dying. The same exact spot that the incident happened to Jose. Now, when those words left his lips and he told me the spot, man, like a chill went through my body. Like it was like, whoa, like that's amazing. Like, never mind the fact how big the world is. But let's just say both these guys lived in the Bronx. Okay, the Bronx is pretty big too. For them to have a similar story of something happening, paranormal, somewhat, and the same exact spot. Nah, like I said, when I hear something like that, I believed it. I believed it instantly. And it automatically made the first story real too. And I believe it 100%. But I went to see Jose after that. I hadn't seen him in many years since, we stopped hanging out a long time ago. We didn't have a fight, but we just stopped hanging out for whatever reason. I went to see him. Hey, how you doing, this and that. And then I told him the story. I told Ernie too, Jose's story. But when I saw Jose, I said, let me tell you the story. I told him. He goes, oh man, that's so cool, like, And he couldn't believe that I remembered him telling me the story. I said, how can I forget that? But anyway, I mentioned this to a few people, and I already have one other team. But what I want to do is, if you live in the area, like Jersey or whatever, Connecticut, Bronx, Brooklyn, the other boroughs, and you're interested, I just want to put together a team. And we're going to go to this location that I'm going to keep to myself. And it's a big, 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 wide open area. I've already done the scouting on it. And hopefully we can get like 5 teams. And each team just take up, a spot somewhere, and all of us, we synchronize our watches, and we all just film in the same area, exact area, from all different angles. Are we going to catch something? Who knows? But you know something? It's just a couple hours of our lives. We don't even have to know anything about each other. If you want to do something like this, we can all just agree to meet. I'll say where to meet, and then from there we go to the location, which would be like half a mile from there. And like I said, but the thing that's important to me is, I've been to the spot many times, never ever brought my camera, because, I don't know, even if I catch something on film, it's people going to question it and say, Photoshop or some bullshit. But if 4 or 5 independent teams go, we all got our own cameras, maybe different style of cameras. I got a Canon, I think it's the XLS, but everybody will have their own kind of camera, film from different locations. Just imagine if we catch something on film.